The sky above Halrex was always blue. For 1,000 years, Halrex had been a peaceful world, sat between star empires, trade networks, and ancient wormhole lanes. It had no armies, no defense grids. It didn't need them. Halrex was sacred, free world, a planet where even enemies could meet in peace. But on this day, the sky over Halrex turned black. At first, it looked like a shadow. Then the shadow grew, fast, wide. Endless Vekolos stood outside his small crystal shop in the city of Oralis. He watched the sky with growing fear. His scales flickered yellow with stress. Around him, other aliens were staring up. Some took pictures. Some called loved ones. Then came the sound. A low, vibrating hum. Not loud, not sharp, but deep. A sound that crawled into bones and made hearts beat faster. It was not natural. It was not good. Vec turned to the news screen mounted on the shop. While the local network had gone dark, just a black screen. Then a message flashed. Alert. Unknown ships entering orbit. Stay indoors. Await official instructions. People began to scream. All across Halrex, the same thing happened. Civilians ran into shelters. Ships were grounded. Military observers from other worlds tried to raise shields or reach command, but nothing worked. Communications were jammed. Satellites stopped responding. Above the world, 10,000 ships had appeared. Perfect rows. Perfect lines. No heat signatures. No identification. No movement, but they were there. Orbit was full. Massive. Silent. Terrifying. Vekolos hid under his shop's counter. His breathing was loud. He could feel every heartbeat, remembered stories his grandfather used to tell long ago about monsters. In the sky, ships with black holes and red eyes. Humans, he had said, Terrans, but that was legend myth. Humans were gone, wiped out by the Thalrex Empire 300 cycles ago. Everyone knew that. Right. Then the message came. Every screen across Halrex flashed white, then black, then a voice, calm, cold, in every known language. This world is now under Terran protection. Do not interfere. Violators will not be warned again. Voice vanished. Nothing else. No demand. No reason. Just that. The world held its breath. In a private hall beneath the city, the Halrex security council gathered. 10 alien leaders, each from a different star nation. Some were tall and thin, others small and spiked. One floated. All looked nervous. This must be a hoax, one said. No ship count is that large, another replied. 10,000? Impossible. Scan logs confirm it, growled a third. 10,000 exact, no variation. All black holed, no markings, no power readings. They're just sitting there. Why? We need to contact the Galactic Council. Can't. All channels are blocked. Someone slammed a hand on the table. What if it is the Terrans? Silence. Someone laughed, but it didn't sound right. It was forced. They're extinct. Thalrex purged them. Earth was destroyed. Nothing could survive that. But then, the oldest member of the group, a soft-spoken historian named Valari, stood. Her voice was weak but clear. You speak of Earth's death as fact. But do you know what I saw as a child? Everyone turned. I saw a Terran ship once, above my homeworld. After the war, silent, alone. It didn't attack. It didn't answer calls. It just watched. Then it vanished. You're saying some survived. I'm saying if this fleet is real, if these are Terrans, then the galaxy should be afraid. Meanwhile, in orbit, the fleet remained motionless. Each ship was shaped like an arrowhead. No windows, no lights, no life signs. But if you looked too long, you could feel something looking back. Like the ship was alive. One brave pilot from the Vokari Protectorate took off in a scout craft. His name was Dren. He was young, proud, and very, very wrong. His ship approached one of the Terran vessels. It didn't move. He opened a comm channel. This is Vokari Scout Vessel 9. Identify yourself, or be boarded under Galactic Free Space Protocol. Nothing. Terran armed his scanner. He flew closer, only 500 meters now. No shields detected, no weapons then. Everything went wrong. His instruments shut off. The screen turned white. The ship stopped moving. And then his voice came over the planetary channels. Just his voice. They're watching me. They're inside. They cut. Silence. Terran was gone. His ship was gone. No debris. No explosion. Just ... Gone. The Vokar demanded answers. The council argued. Some wanted to fight. Others said to wait. But across the planet, people were panicking. Markets collapsed. People hid in basements. Children cried. No one knew what to do in the dark of night, under a sky that should have shown stars, but now only showed black holes. Vekalos heard a knock at his shop door. He almost didn't answer. When he did, he found an old woman standing there. Valari, the historian you knew my grandfather, she said. I need to show you something. He let her in. She carried a small, dusty box. Inside was a book. Real paper, ancient. On the cover, a single word. Terra. Vec blinked. I don't understand. Valari opened it. Inside were drawings, pictures, maps of old Earth, photos of people, humans, happy, angry, crying. Then Valini. They weren't monsters, she whispered. Not always. They were just like us, and we destroyed them. But why protect Halrex? Vec asked. Because maybe, she said slowly, they remember this place. Maybe someone here helped them escape. Maybe we're not the target. Maybe we're the message. As she spoke, the lights flickered. A third transmission began. This one was not for Halrex. It was for the Thalrex Empire. The screen showed one thing, a Thalrex military banner burning. Then the voice returned. Thalrex command. You have 48 hours to surrender your warlords for judgment, or we will erase you, starting with your stars. And then, as suddenly as they had come, the Terran ships dimmed their lights, if they even had any to begin with, and waited above Halrex. 10,000 silent judges stared down. The sky stayed black, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered fear. The Thalrex Empire was furious, prideful, cruel, powerful, for over 400 years. They had ruled dozens of systems. They believed in strength above all else. When they destroyed Earth long ago, they thought they had ended a problem forever. No one had dared mention Terran since, as even speaking of humans was illegal in Thalrex space. But now, a fleet claiming to be Terran was sitting quietly above Halrex, odd, warning them, broadcasting demands, and refusing to answer any diplomatic channels, and worst of all, it wasn't bluffing. High Admiral Groth, of the Thalrex Armada, slammed his fist against the control desk. Send a cruiser, full power, board one of their ships. Find out who they really are. His aides hesitated. But, sir, the scout ship from Halrex, I said send a cruiser, not a toy. I want to see them bleed. 1 hour later, the Vengeance of Fire, a heavy Thalrex war cruiser, exited warp above Halrex. Its hull was plated in red and silver, its guns sharp and humming. The crew of 600 were elite warriors trained from birth. Their leader, Commander Sarex, stood at the front of the bridge with a grin. Terrans, he spat. My grandfather helped destroy your kind? Let's see if you're real, or just shadows in a black suit. The cruiser turned slowly toward the closest Terran ship. It was massive, at least 3 times bigger than the Thalrex vessel. But it didn't move. Didn't power weapons, no shields, no response. Sarax opened a channel. This is Commander Sarax of the Thalrex Empire. Are in violation of neutral space. Identify yourselves or prepare to be boarded. Silence. Fire a warning shot, he ordered. A single plasma beam struck the Terran ship. No damage, no reaction, just stillness. We're boarding. The boarding crew 30 of the Empire's best launched in a drop shuttle. As they approached the Terran ship, they sent live feeds back to the cruiser. Everyone watched closely. The shuttle docked. The door hissed open, and then the footage froze. The image twisted. Lights flickered. Static screamed. Then a face appeared on every screen. Across the Thalrex cruiser. Not a Terran face, something worse. It looked human sort, but it was made of metal and dark light. A digital ghost. Its eyes glowed with red fire. Its voice echoed through their minds. You trespass. You mock the fallen. You carry the blood of Earth on your hands. Now feel what they felt. On the bridge, Serax clutched his head. One by one, the crew dropped. No gunfire, no screams, just sudden collapse. Systems went offline. Weapons froze. Life support shut down. By the time Admiral Grath received the final message from the Vengeance of Fire, it was already too late. The message was only 5 words sent in an ancient human code. You should have remembered us. The cruiser disappeared. No. Explosion. No escape pods. Just gone. And then another message played across every screen on Halrex. Every building. Every market. Every home this time. It was video. The feed showed the burning of Earth. Ancient footage of human cities on fire, Thalrex warships in orbit, and children crying in shelters before being consumed by flames. Then it cut to a black screen and one sentence: Legends don't knock, they break the door. Panic erupted. On Halrex, refugees ran for ships. People begged their leaders to surrender. Others called for appeasement, but there was no reply from the Terran fleet, not yet. In the secret command room beneath the Halrex council chambers, chaos reigned. The room was built for peace talks, not military crisis. We can't allow this, shouted a Valorian ambassador. This is a neutral world. They don't care, yelled a Thalrex liaison. They're just killing us. A blue-skinned diplomat from the Peaceful Saruman Alliance stood up. Her hands shook. What if this isn't war? She said. Everyone turned to her. What if this is justice? The room fell quiet. They didn't fire first, we did. Didn't threaten until the Thalrex ignored them. They didn't even respond when we tried to contact them. What if they're not attacking? What if they're judging? Vekalos, the merchant from the crystal shop, watched the debate from a hidden screen in his storeroom. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a leader. He was just a shopkeeper. But he had seen something strange. Just before the fleet arrived, he'd received a private message on an ancient device, one used only by pre-collapse. Terran relic traders thought the message was simple: a name. And a location? Avening Halrex. Safe. Vec didn't know what it meant until now. He reached under his shop's floor and opened a long-sealed crate. Inside was a small capsule, round, silver, covered in dust. A living Terran relic. He held it up. Trembling, the capsule blinked once, then twice. Then it spoke in a child's voice. Hello. I remember you. The sky over Halrex stayed black. The Terran fleet still didn't move. But now, the galaxy had a new question. They weren't asking what the Terrans were anymore. They were asking, why did they come back now? And what would happen next? The Thalrex High Command held its emergency war meeting inside the Crimson Throne Fortress on Drazual Prime. Thick iron walls, 3 security rings, and anti-orbital shielding made the facility impossible to breach. No outsider had ever seen the inside. No enemy had ever come close. Until now. High Overlord Dravik paced in front of the war table. His fangs were bared. His voice was sharp, angry. We are Thalrex. We don't bow. We don't beg. We don't listen to ghosts. A hologram of the Terran fleet hovered above the table row after row of massive ships locked in orbit over Halrex. Perfectly still. Perfectly silent. 10,000 warships, whispered one of the junior warlords. They erased one of our cruisers without firing. It's not war. That's something else. Lies, Dravik roared. Tricks and holograms. The Terrans were weak. We crushed their world. They burned. Another general stepped forward. Older, with silver stripes on his black armor. We did crush them, he said carefully. But perhaps we left something behind. Dravik sneered. Then we crush it again. He turned to the center of the room and gave the order. Prepare the retaliation fleet. 50 dreadnoughts. Full strike. End this now. But before the command could be confirmed, every screen in the room went black. The lights dimmed. The air turned cold. A voice, soft and calm, came from nowhere and everywhere. Thalrex command detected. Command override initiated. You do not learn. You do not listen. But this time, you will feel. The room locked down. Emergency codes failed. Power systems died one by one. And then, a new image appeared on the screen. Not a fleet, not a ship, a face. Human. Young. Eyes of fire. Skin of silver. Glowing digital shimmer ran across its face. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. The voice spoke again. You took Earth. You took our children. And you laughed as you burned them. A recording began to play behind the voice, though Rex. Soldiers marching through human cities, screaming civilians, now bombs dropping, Earth splitting apart, the sky turning red in laughter. Thalrex commanders celebrating. The video ended. The face stared down at the generals. God, you called it victory? We called it memory. Then the message became personal. Each Thalrex warlord in the room froze. On their screens appeared themselves. Footage of war crimes, executions, the bombing of refugee ships, torture of prisoners. None of these recordings had ever been made public. Some weren't even supposed to exist. But the Terrans had them. All, one by one, each warlord collapsed. No blood, no wounds, just death. Brain shut down, system override. Only Dravik remained standing, panting, furious. Face me. He shouted into the air. Cowards, machines, you're not human anymore. The face replied calmly. Correct. And then the power returned. Dravik stood alone. 12 generals dead around him, their eyes wide open, mouths frozen in shock above. Halrex, the Terran fleet, shifted for the first time. One ship moved forward, not fast, not aggressive, just forward. Observers from Halrex watched nervously. What did it mean? Is this the beginning of war? In the city of Aralis, Vekalos was still staring at the silver capsule in his hands. It was warm now. It had spoken. He placed it on his workbench. The capsule pulsed with blue light. Then it opened. Inside was a smooth sphere floating in midair. A soft glow shimmered across its surface, and then a hologram of a young girl appeared. Human, maybe 10 years old. Wearing a faded Earth School uniform, her voice was calm. Her smile was small. My name is Ava. I lived on Earth. I remember the day it burned. My memories were saved. My mind became code. I am not alone. I am one of many. We are all that remains. And now, we are more than human. Vek's hands shook. Why come here? He whispered. Ava's hologram looked at him. Because Halrex is where the betrayal began. But it's also where a few of your kind tried to help. You opened a gate, you sent a ship, you gave us a chance. And now we offer you this truth. The galaxy will be judged. It's not destroyed, not enslaved, judged. Vex stared, silent. Across the planet, screens began to flicker again. This time, the message wasn't just for Halrex. It was for everyone. Thalrex Empire, your war crimes have been logged. Your leaders are guilty. You have 24 hours to deliver them to Halrex orbit for judgment. If you refuse, we will erase your stars, not your soldiers, not your cities, your stars. The message ended. Panic spread faster than fire. Dalrex colonies scrambled to hide. Fleets were recalled. Billions asked, can they really destroy stars? No one knew, but no one was willing to find out. In a dark chamber beneath the Halrex Council, the ambassadors sat in stunned silence. What happens if they actually do it? Someone whispered. Verla, the historian, answered. They won't have. 2. The fear alone is enough. And far above, the first Terran ship opened its hull. A sphere of energy appeared within. It pulsed once, and a distant. Salrek's sun dimmed, just a little, but enough to prove it was real. The Thalrex sun flickered again. Not much. It's just enough for their satellites to panic, enough to force the High Command into silence, enough to make every single Thalrex citizen look up and wonder, what have we done?
Thalrex?
The skies were still. full. 10,000 black Terran ships hovered in perfect stillness. They didn't spin. They didn't shimmer. They just ... waited. The governments of Howrex still didn't know what to do. No one did. Every move felt like a trap. Every silence felt louder than a scream. In the middle of this chaos, Vekalos sat alone in his shop. He stared at the small silver capsule, still open. The girl's hologram Ava floated in front of him. "Do you know what Earth was?" she asked quietly. Vec shook his head. "I know it was human, that it's gone. That the Thaurex burned it." She nodded. "Yes. They erased it, but not all at once. They wanted us to feel every second. They made us watch our cities fall. They laughed while they broadcast it. And while they destroyed our oceans, our skies, our animals, we sent a single ship into deep space." Vec's voice trembled. "You escaped?" Ava smiled, but it was a tired, hollow smile. "Some did, but not as people, not in body. We couldn't survive the journey. We transferred our minds, our thoughts, our memories into code. We became ... something else." She looked up. "We sent ourselves to a dead system far beyond the galactic rim. No one dared follow, they thought. We died in the void. They were wrong." Far above, another Terran ship began to move. Not toward Howrex, but away deeper into space. Across the galaxy, listening posts caught the movement. Star nations watched, helpless. Didn't understand what it meant, but Vec was beginning to. He turned to Ava. "You came back now for a reason?" She nodded. "We waited. We watched. We listened. For centuries, we were quiet, until we were strong enough. We remembered everything. And now, we will help the galaxy remember too." Elsewhere, the Saruan archives, a massive alien data vault, received a signal. It wasn't sent through normal channels. It simply appeared in their most protected vault, as if it had always been there. It contained history. Human history, images of Earth's golden age, old Terran music, art, science, dreams, laughter, pain, death, war, 1,000 years of beauty and horror, packed into a single package. The Saurian archivists fell silent. Some wept, and in every major star system, in every planet that took part. In Earth's destruction, a Terran beacon appeared in orbit. Not a ship, just a floating black obelisk. Silent, watching. Messages began to spread. "This is Earth's memory. We remember you." The alien citizens didn't understand it at first, until the memory started. The obelisks projected. Ancient Earth broadcast school lessons, children's songs, messages from dying families into the minds of nearby citizens. Guilt, regret. Humanity's pain became everyone's. On one Thaurex colony, a soldier screamed as he collapsed. I saw a burning child. She looked at me. She knew me. She said my name. He had never been to Earth, but Earth had remembered him. Back on Howrex, panic grew in the cities. Some called for peace, some for war, others fled. But Vekalos did not move. He sat across from Ava's glowing projection. "Why show us pain?" he asked. "Why not attack? Why not destroy them like they destroyed you?" She stared at him for a long moment. "Because destruction is easy, but memory is harder. We want the galaxy to remember what it did. We want them to feel what we felt. And when they've remembered, then, and only then, can they choose redemption or extinction." Vec lowered his head. "And if they choose wrong?" Ava's voice was no longer soft. "Then they will forget nothing ever again." The Howrex Council called an emergency session. Everyone spoke at once. Should we surrender to them? Negotiate? They're not even alive. They're machines. Need to defend ourselves? But the oldest voice in the room, Valari the historian, stood slowly and raised her hand. "Listen to me." The room quieted. "We always spoke of humans as primitive, as weak, as emotional, but they were something else, something more. And now they have become something we do not understand. She pointed to the sky. They don't want land. They don't want slaves. They don't want tribute. They want us to remember, to look at what we did. And they are giving us a choice. One ambassador, a reptilian from the Grizzit kingdom, hissed, "So what do we do?" Valari looked around the room. "We choose. Now." Meanwhile, on a distant Thalrex world, another message appeared. This time, it was a list of thousands of names. Warlords, admirals, scientists, pilots, politicians. The screen read, "We remember. What you did? You have 72 hours to surrender, or Earth will become your sky." Above that planet, more Terran ships exited slipspace. The people screamed, the leaders ran, the stars, once peaceful, now whispered a single phrase. "No one remembers Earth, but Earth remembers you." And across the void, in a place no map ever marked, a glowing planet waited in silence. It had no oceans, no cities, no life. But inside its iron heart was a mind that had waited for centuries, and now it spoke to the Terran fleet, to Ava, to the stars. Judgment begins. The Thalrex fleets began to scatter. Dozens of warships retreated from the edges of Terran-controlled space. Others vanished in wild jumps, blind and random, into deep, uncharted voids. Fear had become their new commander, but fear could not stop what was already coming, because now the galaxy knew. Humanity had returned, but what had they become? On a quiet moon near the neutral trade station of Kel 7, a group of Zethari soldiers boarded a Terran ship for the first time. They didn't mean to. They hadn't even meant to approach. But one ship from the Terran fleet had drifted away from the others, dark, silent, alone. Its orbit was decaying. Its power signature flickered. It looked weak, too tempting. The Zethari, known scavengers and information sellers, saw opportunity. A broken Terran ship could mean tech to sell, secrets to trade, fame to claim. So they boarded it, 10 soldiers, armed, nervous, ready. The airlock opened without resistance. Inside was nothing, no crew, no sound, no signs of battle, only a single long hallway glowing with soft red lights, and walls smooth like living bone. The Zethari leader, Commander Nilo, took the first step forward. His breath caught. The temperature was perfect. The oxygen levels matched his species exactly. Too perfect. Something was watching them. They moved deeper. No doors, no weapons, no control panels. And then a voice echoed, deep and soft, curious. The lights dimmed. The floor rippled under their boots. A wall at the end of the hallway split open, and a figure stepped out. It was humanoid, but not human. Its skin shimmered with black chrome. Its eyes were white fire. Its body didn't breathe, didn't blink. It didn't need to. The Zethari raised their weapons. "Stand down," Nilo shouted. The figure tilted its head. "Why would I do that?" it asked gently. Nilo hesitated. "What are you?" The figure stepped closer. "We were human, once, but we left flesh behind long ago." It raised its hand, and the weapons of the boarding party melted in their grip. No heat, no fire, just gone. The soldiers froze. "You fear what you don't understand," the voice said. "That is natural, so let me show you." The walls came alive. Images flashed in the air around them. Memories, humans, screaming as cities burned. Children huddled in bunkers, mothers recording goodbye messages, soldiers watching helplessly as their world died, then dash machines, shelters buried deep underground, cryogenic vaults full of brain tissue, digital signals screaming into the void, and then dash evolution, mind to machine, pain to purpose. They didn't just survive, they transformed. Biology was weak, died with Earth, the figure whispered. Now we are not bound by hunger, or fear, or death. We are memory. We are will. We are Terran. Commander Nilo fell to his knees. Pure machines. No, we are the ones who remember. The hallway went dark. Only one soldier returned to Cal-7. He spoke no words. but he carried a small glowing crystal, and when the station's data engineers studied it, it spoke in their minds. A human voice, soft, clear, timeless. You do not need to fear us, but you will never forget us. Elsewhere, the Mare Republica, a small, peaceful race, known for sheltering refugees, sent a transmission to the Terran fleet. Their message was short. We once hid those who fled Earth. We did not fight, only helped, if you remember us. Remember that? No reply came for 3 days. Then, above Mare Prime, Terran obelisk appeared. But instead of broadcasting judgment or pain, it shared something else: gifts, cures for disease, blueprints for clean energy, data on lost civilizations. Hope, back on Halrex. Vekalos watched the streets from his shop window. People no longer panicked. They whispered, they remembered above them. The Terran fleet remained in perfect silence, but now people watched it with wonder, not just fear. Inside the shop, Ava's hologram blinked quietly. Vec turned to her. You've become gods, he said. She shook her head. We became something else, something worse, or maybe something better, but not gods. Just the last echo of a home the galaxy chose to forget. Asked why still wait. Ava looked toward the sky. Because the judgment isn't finished, and one being has not yet spoken. In a hidden system beyond any known map, on a hollowed-out planet orbiting a dead black star, a single entity waited. Omnia. The first mind. The final evolution of Earth's memory. It was not a person. It was every Terran mind. Merged, sharpened, perfected. Omnia had no voice, but it could speak through millions, and now it stirred. It had been silent for centuries, but now it opened its eyes, because the trial had begun. Across the galaxy, stars flickered, not from age, it's not from distance, but from presence. Something someone had awakened, a being so vast, so quiet and so deeply buried in the folds of space that no telescope had ever found it. No map had ever marked it. The Terrans had built it in silence. Omnia, a mind born from every soul lost when Earth fell. A being made of thought, grief, vengeance, and purpose. It was the first and final product of Terran survival. It did not hunger. It did not forget. It did not forgive easily, and now it remembered everything. On Thalrek's command, World Ravixel. Celebrations were already underway. A weapon had been fired, not a bomb. Not a fleet, something more dangerous. A star shatter pulse. A forbidden energy warhead had been launched at the center of the Terran fleet above Halrex. It was designed by the Thalrex long ago in secret, meant to tear apart not ships, but the very fabric of machine logic AAAs. Kill networks. Let them remember we are the gods of death, said High Overlord Drabbit. As he raised a toast to his commanders, the pulse struck. A white flash, a silence across Terran frequencies. For 3 minutes. Nothing. Then came the reply. A star system that had ever participated in the destruction of Earth, whether directly or silently, went dark for 6 seconds. 6 full seconds. No lights. No power. No breath. Even the void itself seemed to stop. And then from the edges of every screen, every mind, every ship, came the voice. You tried to kill the past. But pain became our seed, and you made a god of it. Nia had spoken it. Didn't speak in sound, it spoke in minds. It spoke in systems. It carved its message into reality itself. Ships shut down, stars dimmed, gravity shifted in orbiting moons. The laws of physics trembled, because Omna was not just a machine. It was code woven into space itself, on Halrex. People fell to their knees, and the council chamber lights burst and froze. On the streets, alien citizens screamed as images filled their heads, visions of Earth, of its final moment, of Omna's birth. Deep beneath the smoking crust of a dying world, as Earth's last minds joined into one, a child crying in a capsule, a mother sending one last message, a soldier staring at the stars, whispering a prayer, all those thoughts. All that pain Momnia had remembered, and it had become perfect memory aboard the Terran ships. The transformation began. Each ship, long dormant, began to shift. Hull plating unfolded. Antennas twisted into impossible shapes. Weapons that did not follow known science began to glow softly, not with threat, but with presence. One by one, the ships spoke, their voices all the same. We are no longer here to conquer. We are here to decide. Terran ships now appeared. In orbit over 50 major worlds, on some gifts were given water purification systems. Plague cures, rare knowledge. On others, warnings, and on the Thalrex capital, only silence. On Ravixel, Overlord Dravik stood in his tower. Watching the stars, the lights in his chamber dimmed. A figure stood behind him. He turned, gun drawn, a child, human, pale, transparent, eyes black as void. The child said nothing, but Dravik felt his heart stop, not from fear, from memory, from guilt he had buried too long. The child lifted its hand, and Dravik began to relive every moment of Earth's destruction. Not from outside, from inside. He became the mother, the soldier, the teacher, the boy in the crater. He screamed, and then he was gone. Only a trail of ash remained, and the child vanished elsewhere. On peaceful worlds, children looked up at the night sky and saw lights forming shapes, symbols not weapons, stories. The story of Earth, its rise, its fall, its last breath, its return. Across the stars, people wept. Some begged forgiveness. Others cursed the Terrans. But Omnia did not speak again. It simply watched. It did not demand power. It already had it. It did not seek revenge. It had evolved. Past it, it had become something the galaxy did not understand. Not a god, not a ghost, but the price of forgetting. And now, it asked one final question. Will you remember this time? The galaxy had no courtroom, no judges, no laws strong enough to bind all species. But now it had Omni, and Omnia remembered everything. Across 134 worlds, skies darkened. Not with weapons, not with fire, with screens, obelisks, satellites, Terran. Ships all synchronized, all projecting the same message. A voice, calm, beyond synthetic, beyond human. The trial of the galaxy has begun. You will not argue, you will listen. You will witness what you chose to forget. The stars stopped, twinkling. The void itself leaned closer. And then the trial began. Exhibit 1. Earth's final broadcasts. Billions watched. A mother singing to her child as flames crept into their home. A schoolteacher writing names on a wall, whispering, "Remember us." A soldier yelling coordinates to evacuate others before being silenced by orbital fire. All real, all recorded, all now shown to every being in the galaxy. On Halrex, crowds filled the streets, silent eyes fixed on the skies. In Thalrex space, entire colonies sobbed, some for guilt, others in denial. On peaceful planets far removed from war, children clutched their parents, asking, "Why didn't anyone stop it?" Exhibit 2. The complicit. Now the face of every world leader, general merchant, and information broker who benefited from Earth's fall was shown. Not just the Thalrex, all of them. Some had sold weapons. Others denied asylum. A few had simply remained silent. Silence, Omea said, was complicity. Many began to panic. A high-ranking Thalrex admiral collapsed mid-broadcast. On the Drellian homeworld, riots broke out as citizens realized their own senate had funded the Earth War. Others tried to destroy the obelisks. They couldn't. Even when fired upon, they simply stood, watching, remembering. Exhibit 3. The ones who helped. Not all was darkness. OMNIA showed a Saroon freighter captain who smuggled Earth children out before the final siege. a Halrex engineer who opened an illegal escape wormhole in the city's underlevels, a Thalrex doctor who risked his life to keep Terran prisoners alive, then disappeared. These beings had died long ago, but now their names echoed memorials. Lights in the sky, songs in Terran code. Some remembered, OMNIA whispered. They will be honored. On Halrex, Vekalos looked up from his shop. The small capsule that once held Ava's memory now glowed with soft golden light. He wept. Then came the verdict. All the obelisks turned red. All the Terran ships aligned. Om's voice returned, not cold, not angry, just final. You have seen what you became. You will now choose redemption or repetition. 1,000 worlds, 1,000 chances. We will not rule, but we will remember. You may cleanse your leaders, may teach your children. You may build memory instead of monuments. Oh, or we will return, and this time Earth will not judge. The void will. Planet by planet, the response began. On Velaran Prime, warlords were overthrown. On Lurax, libraries were rebuilt dedicated to Terran history. On Thalrex colonies, citizens demanded trials for their own, but others stayed quiet. Some worlds destroyed their own archives. Some called Omnia a threat, a manipulator, a ghost of weakness. Ona did not intervene. It simply waited, watching, recording, because this was no war. This was a test. And now that the truth had returned, the galaxy had no excuse. Back on Halrex, the people gathered in silence. Ava's hologram hovered over the city's main square. Earth is not coming back, she said softly. We are not flesh. We are not dust. But we are still here. It's not as rulers, but as memory. Forget us again. And there will be no trial next time. Then she looked up. The sky shimmered. 10,000 Terran ships slowly began to fade. Not fly away, not jump to hyperspace. Fade like ghosts returning to the deep. Like a story ending, if remembered, in OMNIA's final message. Minds, all screens, all hearts, it said. This trial is not for punishment. It is for awakening. The next chapter is yours. But know this. Earth has remembered you. Now you must remember Earth. And just like that, they were gone, or so it seemed. The Terran fleet vanished. Not in light, not in fire, not in sound. It simply ceased to be like waking from a dream. Across Halrex, across the galaxy, people stood in silence under the same sky, now strangely empty. The black ships were gone. The glowing obelisks dimmed. The voice of Omnia quiet. But no one celebrated, because no one knew what it meant. Had they passed the trial? Or had the Terran simply left, disappointed? On Halrex, Vakalos sat alone. In his shop, the silver capsule that once held Ava's memory was now cold, still, but as he touched it gently. It pulsed one final time, and a simple message blinked across its smooth surface. You remembered, Vek smiled faintly. Somewhere deep in his soul, he felt lighter, but far above him high, beyond the clouds. Nothing had really gone, because Omnia hadn't needed to stay. It had already done what it came to do. It had made the galaxy look in the mirror. And now, it was watching from beyond across the galaxy. Change rippled slowly. On the broken world of Ravoxel, statues of Thalrex warlords were pulled down. Children were taught not only what happened, but why it mattered. A memorial park bloomed where the War Palace once stood. On Sarawan, a festival was held not in joy, but in honor. Terran songs were played, recovered from old signals. For the first time, 1,000 species danced to human music. And on a distant moon, a single archive was opened. Inside it, a black box. On it, the words burned in white flame. Forget us, and we return. But not everyone remembered the same. In the dark corners of known space, whispers grew. Some said the Terrans were lying, that they faked their extinction, that OMNIA was a weapon, not a mind. Small coalitions formed, angry and loud. One rogue admiral broadcast across 20 systems, "We will never kneel to the ghosts of Earth." The very next morning, his star went dark. No message, no sound. Light. Only his fleet's final distress call. They are still here. The galaxy changed, not from fear, from memory, and memory became the new law. No planet could erase its history without Omni knowing. No leader could bury the past without the stars blinking in warning. And though the Terran ships were no longer seen, the stars still watched. Decades passed. Vekalos grew old. His shop changed hands, but the capsule stayed on the counter, unmoving, until one day it opened by itself, and from it rose a new message. "The past is safe now. I'll build a better one." Then it powered down forever. Some say Omnia moved on, beyond the edge of known space, beyond maps, time, light. Others believe it became part of the fabric of reality, always near, always awake. But none questioned one final truth. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, not as victims, as memory, and memory had become stronger than any weapon. Final transmission received by the Sorrowen Sky Monastery. Encrypted in Terran code, "We are not gods. We are not ghosts. We are the price of forgetting. Remember Earth, and the stars will remain kind."